your mind has already figured out that you're not going to succeed in it. Some of you come from karate, like other stuff, right? So you use your body to get out of your mind so that energetically your mind is like, oh, this girl is so determined, I'm going to give up. My mind has struggled in having the money coming in. You don't have problem with money coming in. It's your conditioned mind saying, oh my gosh, money, money is not good. Money is thing. I was talking about this today. My dad, when I was 16, used to give me like money. And what I would do is I would have this money. And then Jesus said, when somebody asks you for money or spend like 1 hour with somebody, give us 2 hours. And then I experimented with that. Maybe I'm the only one who tried this thing, right? So people ask me for $2. My dad will give me money for college, like going the stuff. And then I would, like, somebody asked me, hey, can you give me like $1? I'll give them $2. So they figured out a way, oh my gosh, this guy is good. Next time they'll ask for $2 and I give them $4. Finally, my dad is giving me money. And then I'm like, every day I'm finishing it and giving the money to poor people and come back home with no money. And my dad didn't complain, never complained in his life about what I'm doing. But I learned one thing, this is not sustainable. We need to have a good relationship with money in order for you to serve, in order for you to impact the world. So it's a conditioned mind. Me coming from a very traditional Christian background, that was making me like, oh my gosh, what's the big deal about money? I don't care about money. I just care about things. But my dad had to give me money in order for me to spend it and screw up, right? So your mind might not be ready to receiving money. So you cannot, like, if your mind is, I'm going to use a beautiful language here. If mind is fucking you, you cannot unfuck yourself using your own mind. Do you see that? Like, because like now we do meditation. Now we look, oh my gosh, let's think about money for some time and do all this visualization. This is the same mind that is screwing up that you're trying to work on it. That's why you need to work on your body. So some of you come from karate, like other stuff, right? So you use your body to get out of your mind so that energetically your mind is like, oh, this girl is so determined, I'm going to give up. Makes sense? Once you ask that question, your mind is let go. Like before was like, why am I not able to have money? That's one question. Now it's like, how am I going to build this thing? That's a different thing. Now you're a builder at this point. Before it was a victim, like, oh, I don't know, my life is screwed up, whatever reasons. And then I cannot deserve money. I don't have money. I cannot have money. Now it's like, how do I do that? Now you are a child, like be curious. Like, oh my gosh, like child, like 3-year-old, how do I figure out money? How do I do this thing? How do I bring this thing? Now you're curious. You could say, how do I do this thing? Life sucks. That's a judgmental human adult, right? We figure out this thing. Whereas we are a child, how do I do this thing? How do I figure this out? There's an apple in the apple tree. How do I just get that thing, right? That curiosity, you will start making money. So go back to the second question, which is very simple question. Like spend 1 minute answering the second question, which is, what is a single most thing you could do to create even more raving fans in your business? So if you want to create raving fans, you're not interested in creating just customers. You want to be creating raving fans who adore you, who love you, who are like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing that happened in my life. What is a single most thing you could do? One thing. Forget about 17 things. Just one thing to either create more raving fans or the existing fans even more raving about you. One of the above or both of them if you are an overachiever. Spend 1 minute on that. What is the single most thing that you could do to create even more raving fans for your business? One thing. Some of you, it could be your earlier client. Some of you, it could be the 117th client. Doesn't matter. Raving fans, raving more, or even more raving fans. One thing that you could do from now till next month when we chat again. And going on to the third question, this is an important question. And Reese, since you spoke about this thing, this is really important for you and everybody here, is that what are some of the actions that could get you income, cash flow now? If you want to hire people, if you wanted to engage a team, you need income right now, not 3 months from now, not 6 months from now. What is something that you could do today so you could tomorrow, so you could have an income in a week, income in a month? What is something that you could get you to income right now. Cash flow now. And if nothing is coming to your mind, commit to yourself. I'll spend 15 minutes thinking about the things that I could do to generate income right now. We are not talking in the abstract philosophy. We will talk about philosophy, but we need to be really tangible, talking about creating income right now, this month. One new client, one new online product that we could start testing, or something else. Income right now. If you have 5 things to write, you could write down, but at least write down one thing. And moving on to the next question, what are some actions, at least 3 actions, if possible, at least one action that could get you to income in the future? So we talked about the income now. Now we are going to talk about income in the future. The reason why we were talking about the story was, with the story blocking us, we cannot think about income now and income future, because story says you're going to suck anyway. You're not going to succeed anyway. Why do we try? And then you will postpone and postpone and postpone and not do anything. Sometimes humans are like that, but that's what we're changing with. If you have a story that is blessing us, you are free to take action. You're like, oh my gosh, I could try this. I have the freedom to try this, and fail too if needed, but it's fine. What are some of the actions you could get your income in the future? So that could be a bigger income in the future too. Maybe 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. And so you are working simultaneously on income now and income future at the same time. You're focusing on both of this. Okay. And then go to the next question. What can be delegated from this? Right. So question number 5 is, from these things that you wrote down, what can be delegated? And who can we delegate this to? Who else can do this? My idea about creating income now or income future, who else can do this for me? We'll spend 1 minute on that. Who else can do that? Or maybe you need to hire a team member. Or maybe you don't have budget right now. In that case, work on income now, so you have the budget to build a team. Does that make sense now? Like, income now will help you, give you budget to hire another person. We don't need to take money from our home to pay for these things. Eventually, we need to get out of it if that's what we are doing. So the idea is, from now, we need to generate income to generate more income, build a team and things like. So this sustainable model, right? So what can you delegate? What can be delegated? Who will be delegated to? Number 6. And from these things, there might be one phone call. There's one person that you need to reach out. That person is going to partner with you and potentially grow to a completely different level. And you have been resisting for a long time. So what is one thing from all of this that can be done in less than 3 minutes? If you have something like that, go ahead and write that down. What can be done in less than 3 minutes? Final question is, what is based on all these things that we did, now we have a new story, new freedom to build $1 million business, new freedom to build the next level, wherever that level is for you. Now that you have this freedom, right? What is the one thing that could intelligently accelerate your business fastest in the next 1 month? Cash flow now and cash flow future. So remember, I told you 2 things, income now and income future. Maybe you can write down 2 things. 2 things that are going to take your business to the next level in the next 1 month. Write down, this is my most important result for the month. This is my most important result for the month. That's what I'm going to work on this month. And if it's for a personal thing that you're working on, or if you have a personal thing that you have been postponing for a long time, write that down too. Or you could go through the same process for the personal thing and write down that. But the bottom line is, find that one thing for cash flow now, one thing for cash flow in the future. And if you want to be an overachiever, one thing to increase the number of raving fans, or increase the raving of the raving fans, increase the level of passion that they have about your brand. That's something you could do. And those are the things that we are going to do in the next 30 days. And when you do that, every month, this is going to start growing and growing. And now you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do it. Who feel like I don't want to do it? So it's highly likely when you don't want to do it, your mind has already figured out that you're not going to succeed in it. Like, oh my gosh, you're going to fail.
It's just a tiny piece that I know can grow if I don't stop it. You know, the tiny piece that says it's not going to work.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And tell that tiny piece, it's not going to work until I do. Right? So it's not going to work. Yeah, you are right. So rather than fighting that voice, you could say, yeah, you are so right. It's not going to work. Let's try a little bit and see if it's working. And then a little bit more and a little bit more. And you trick that voice into submission.
Yeah, it's a very young child's voice that says, you know, that wants the proof before it'll sign on.
Yeah, and tell him, like, you go to regular restaurants in life, right? You go to a restaurant, you get seated, and then you eat food and then you pay. Mm-hmm. But in this life game, it's like a speed, like what is it? Like fast food. For fast food, you go to, like, say, Chick-fil-A. If you have Chick-fil-A's next to you and you go to Chick-fil-A, like, you're like, you know, I will give you money. I'll eat the food now and then I'll give you money like a month from now. They're like, screw you, you can go home. So tell the child in a nice way that, you know what, you're not going to get the Chick-fil-A until you actually pay the money, which is work here. So I don't know whether this is going to work. You could come back next month and tell me, Claudia, it did not work. It's fine. But how will you figure out without doing it? So tell the child, you know what, you don't have much experience in life. You're a 3-year-old anyway. You might as well help me figure this out. Let's go ahead and do this. And then make it really tiny action until your mind is like, okay, let's do it. You know, and then tell them it's okay. You can fail. And go from there. Okay, the miracle is not I'm not saying mind is not the miracle. Body is the obvious. This is one of the things that I say. Body is the obvious miracle that we miss in plain sight. We think we are mind. We think everybody, like Eastern philosophy talks about, you are not the body. It's just a Maya. But the body is the most real thing that we have, right? And if you work on your body, you could go much faster, right? And that's a story of the soul. The curse story is a story of the mind. That is the one that is trapping us. And you guys all know this already. Like, as a collective, we have a lot of curse stories that we collected as a humanity. And that's in the collective consciousnness. And we tap into those stories, and that keeps us limited. And what we need as a collective, as a species, as a universe, as a multi-layer universe, is to have a blessing story for the universe as such. Right. So when we are able to change that one story for the entire universe, that's what Gandhi did. That's what Martin Luther King, in their own version of the stories, changed in a certain capacity. But, you know, I come from programming, and in programming we joke about it and say, if you know the source code, you could change the world. Source code means that the computer programming, like there is a source code for everything. And then if you know the source code, you could change the world. So same thing, right? If you could change the source code of your brain, you could change your life. You change the story, you change the life. Okay. I look forward to seeing your actions on the chat. Bye. Thanks.